I thank you very much for tuning in to That Will Never Work podcast. We often hear you can't have it all, family, business, and balance. But what if that belief is exactly what's holding you back? My guest today, Renee, built a thriving real estate brand and media company while raising a family, and she's here to share how she turned pressure into purpose and success into significance. We'll talk about it right after this.
Educate, empower, enable, impact. Thank you for tuning in to That Will Never Work, an award-winning podcast where we share inspiring information and personal experiences related to business and the entrepreneurial journey from those who are leaders in their respective field. Now, here's your host, author and business coach, Maurice.
Thank you very much. So, Renee is a dynamic real estate entrepreneur, speaker, and mentor, helping agents and business owners grow their influence, income, and impact without sacrificing what matters most. So, Renee, so many entrepreneurs struggle to build a business without burning out or losing sight on their families. What was the turning point for you that helped you redefine success and start building from balance instead of burnout?
So for me, my first life, I was actually a registered nurse. I did that for over 15 years. I did, started out in the hospital, floor nursing, and worked my way up to management. And at the time, now my oldest, she's 13, but at the time she was about 3 or 4.
Mm.
I ran several programs over, 200-mile radius, and I had multiple people working underneath me. It's 24/7, never stopped. So she was on her little play phone in her playroom, and I walked in. I was like, "Hey, Cameron, what are you doing?" She's like, "Shh, I'm on the phone, Mom." And I was like, "Okay, something's got to give." So it was constant. Like I never had an off period. I was always available.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until my second came around that I was like, all right, I think I'm situated well enough to kind of flip my careers over. So I've always done real estate on the side, but I was ready to take more control of my schedule and my life versus working in a building all day long. And I saw several people that retired after 40 something years of working there, and they got a cake and a little fruit basket and said, "High five, way to go." And out the door they went. And I was like, that's just not what I wanted in my life. So after my second was born is when I flipped sides and started managing my own. Now, I don't think I could ever go back and work for somebody. I mean, obviously I could if I had to, but being your own boss is, I think, what I was meant to be. I'm not meant to stay in the same building all day long. I am meant to be out and about, and I always joke that if I didn't have kids, I would be a nomad. I would just have my basket with me and off I go.
So
that kind of turning point for me, basically my children is what triggered that change in my life.
And so I was going to pick up on that because you said something about your daughter saying, "Shh, I'm on the phone." A lot of times we don't understand what that mirror is. And sometimes we don't like that mirror either. What were you feeling in that moment when your daughter did that? Because I know when my children talk to me and they say some things, I kind of had to look more like, wow, like, what am I really portraying in this moment? Where they don't feel like they're as important or their voice is not as heard as I would like for it to be. So what was that like for you?
It was very eye-opening because I didn't realize how often I did that to her. So, she went to daycare during the day. So in the evening time, you only get a few hours in the evening with your kids. And so I realized I was spending most of it still working instead of tending to her. It's kind of hurtful, but at the same time, you're like, wow, I didn't realize I did that much for you. You just start doing it to me.
Right.
And now we have the polar opposite. My youngest constantly interrupts phone calls. I'm like, shh, hold on.
So how do you deal with that? Because, you know, you feel as though when you're working a 9 to 5, you have a little bit more time. But now, as you're building a business, you would think that, hey, I'm on 24/7. I can't stop. I have to keep going, and all those type of things. So, what was that transition like? How did that really work out? Because the imagery is not always the same. The way it's expressed is not always the same. So even for that, how was that transition for you?
So working from, set hours, I went from, 24/7 salary to a different position where it was 8 to 4:30. Now, I mean, technically I still work 24/7. I still work 7 days a week. It's just a different
Mhm.
kind of work, I guess. So I don't, it's not like I have to physically leave
Mhm.
what I'm doing to go work. I am a multitasker. I typically will be doing three things at the same time, most of
Mhm.
the time. So if it's watering the plants outside, I'm on the phone making a deal, or dropping my kids off at practice, I'm talking to people, or, I always joke, so I travel a lot. And so I was like, man, my clients don't even know I'm in the other side of the world
Mhm.
because of my cell phone. It works everywhere I go. So everything that I need to do is right there. So it
Mm.
doesn't, I actually work more now, but it's not as daunting as working for somebody else because you directly see the fruits of your labor when you work for yourself. Because if you
Mm.
don't work, obviously there's no fruit.
Right.
So it's kind of one of those catch 22s on that. But to me, it's more fulfilling. I don't feel like it's draining and I don't feel like it's work.
Mhm.
It just feels like it's just what I do. Um,
Mm.
but I can turn it off and be like, hey, I have a client call and it's during a game. Hey, at my kid's game, I'll call you back later. All right,
Mhm.
cool. So you have the control to manage your time. And, you know, in the mornings, I typically block out time to go, drop the kids off at school, go to the
Mhm.
gym, and then I start my day. So I'm I'm not a morning person. And so I always joke when people say, you gotta, entrepreneurs, 5 a.m., blah, blah, blah. I'm like,
Mhm.
no, I get more done at 10 p.m. than I do at 5 a.m. So it's just the ability to kind of manage your time, in
Mhm.
which I think that's a lot of people have struggles with, is time management and staying on
Right.
track and not doom scrolling all day long, just being more productive with the time you have. Yeah.
So you this of the idea that family, but then there's another part that you said as well, which is doom scrolling. All of these, some people would say, are distractions, can be distractions, especially if you have a set goal in mind or whatever it is. But I don't think that that's the case. I think that for me personally, well, doom scrolling, yes. Family, I think that there's another type of energy that they give you, another type of um, how they feed back into you, pour back into you. Because a lot of times you can, at the end of the day, you can feel tired. You're like, hey, I've been dealing with all these other nonsense, but now you have your little ones who's putting a smile on your face, giving you the big hug or whatever it is. So, but what about those individuals that might say, you know what, Renee, I need you to grind. I need you to, hustle all day, every day. What will you say to those type of individuals? Because you get coaches that are like that.
I always say at the end of the day, we all end up in the ground the same way. So to me, there's more than life
Right.
than money, 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 work, 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 work. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's more to a person than their status in a company. There's more to a person than what they achieved over a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've met some really super impressive CEOs and people that have done their businesses very well. And when they get to end of life, their family don't even talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, what was the purpose of all of that? It has no purpose if at the end it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, I say to that, like, obviously growing a business and wanting to be productive and doing all this stuff is one silo. And then you have your family and the other, which they're both parts of you. You just have to
Mm.
time block and manage your time with both of them. So
Mm-hmm.
depending on, to me, like when my kids go to, which they don't ever sleep. I don't know what's wrong with them, but when they finally go to bed, like that's when I like catch up on emails and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. Or, when I'm sitting in a drop off line, doing things like that. So I tend to, like I say, do two things at the same
Mm-hmm.
birds with one stone, basically. So I'm already doing this with my family, but I have a couple minutes to catch up on something. So I do
Mm-hmm.
that. So to me, it's completely manageable to do both. It's unrealistic to expect somebody to constantly work 24/7. That's
Mm.
unrealistic. It's kind of like crash dieting. Like it won't
Mm-hmm.
last forever. Eventually you're going to fail and crash and burn. So you have to learn to, have a good balance with
Mm-hmm.
it. And and that balance changes from time to time. Sometimes it's like, hey guys, like sorry, like, I have to get this done.
Right.
And then vice versa, where I'm like, hey, prioritize, like this is more important right now. I
Mm-hmm.
can take care of that, later this evening or tomorrow or whatever. Um, so to me, it's yeah, the people always like to look at the people that are like, you know, do this, do this, do this, do this. I like to look at their, okay, do they have a family? Are they married? Do
Mm-hmm.
they have other priorities or responsibilities that they have to handle? And a lot of the times, let's say they are married and have a family, but they have a nanny or they have,
Right. Right.
they have extra support there that most common folk don't have. Um, so it's a different. I always tend to say take it with a grain of salt when you
Mm.
see these coaches and do things like that because there's always something back there that's supporting them and picking up the slack. Whereas if you don't have that option, you have to learn to work around it.
Mm. I think that's very powerful that you're stating because we don't always understand the background. We always see what's in front of us, right? And
Right.
not understanding the process or what they have gone through, whatever the situation is. Maybe they really don't like being home. That's why they put themselves all the way into work. Um, but because we're constantly seeing social media, hey, we need to be like this person, we need to do that, whatever it is. And on top of that, you're stating to me that I need to do X, Y, and Z in order to be successful. Sometimes I don't know if their productivity aligns with their purpose. And so if I said that to you, productivity aligning with your
Right.
purpose, what do you think of that when you hear that?
So to me, like my productivity, my purpose, and my purpose is to the end game for me is to build a foundation for my children. So
Hmm.
both me, my husband, and I, our family, we love them to death, but they didn't have anything to give us to
Hmm.
start off with. Or, they supported us like, hey, high five, good job for, going to college, but here you have to pay the bill. So
Hmm.
to me, my purpose is to build something that my kids can take over or
Mm.
benefit from, but also have the productivity of it to know that it doesn't come free. You have to
Hmm.
work for it. Like this is not a handout. Like
Hmm.
life isn't fair. Like the world isn't fair. The world doesn't care about your feelings. So
Right.
the only way to get what you want is you have to work for it. And so to me, that's kind of like my purpose is just building a foundation there for my family. So maybe they don't have to struggle as much.
Right.
I always have these discussions with our friends in college. And I'm like, well, my kids are gonna if they want to go to college. Like I obviously have a college degree. My husband does not.
Hmm.
And so I was like, if they decide to go to college, then they need to maybe pay for some of it or work
Right.
part time, whatever it may be, to make sure, because I see these people come out of college with just insane amount of debt and
Right.
they got a degree in something completely worthless. And I'm like, that's not smart to me. So I'm like, I know people that went and have trades that make way better money than a lot of people that have master's degrees and doctorate degrees. And I'm
Right.
like, it's just I don't know. It's just my kind of philosophy on that. So just kind of building a foundation for my family to carry
Mhm.
on, I guess is my purpose. And it to
Mm.
be a good purpose, not to my thing, I guess my nursing comes into that. I just always tend to help people.
Mhm.
Um, and then hopefully, most of my clients do that. I have all repeat clients most of the time, or they
Okay.
refer me off to somebody else because of the extra kind of proactive approach that I take to things. So
Mhm.
I understand that things are stressful and I try to alleviate that and understand, kind of be a little empathetic towards the
Mm.
situation. And so trying to have my kids mirror that to where, because the
Mm.
younger generation now in communication is not the greatest.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so just, yeah, building that with my kid. I mean, they're 13 and 7, and they will walk into a grocery store and get everything they need, and how much it costs, and like count the change back. Oh my gosh, drive me nuts. Cashiers don't know how to count change back. And so, and it's just little things like
Mhm.
that. And so I'm constantly teaching them. We always have this thing like just be one of the smarter people in the room.
Mhm.
And if you're not the smartest person in the room, and maybe stop and listen to the smartest person in the room, you can learn something.
Right.
Um, it's just kind of never stop growing, I
Right.
guess,
And
is
I
the
agree with
theme.
that.
Like,
And
like
so
leave a positive impact in the world.
here's my question, because I understand your previous career, in being a nurse, and where you are right now being real estate and teaching other entrepreneurs and encouraging them. But there's something that you're alluding to, which is legacy. Um, and
Mhm.
in that, because of your previous career, I used to work in a hospital, so I would hear and see how people would they would, whatever is going on, they don't have anything to leave their families or whatever it might be. It might not even sometimes even be just a picture. Like they can't, things are so hard that they can't even leave a picture. And so how has that your previous employment versus where you are right now being an entrepreneur, and you're stating like, hey, I really want to give something to my kids. You mentioned college, but even like down the line, um, as you're talking about this legacy, what else would you like to see your kids have, beyond just, hey, just make things just a tad easier, or at least a memory of your father and I, mindset. But what else do you think your kids need to really have versus what you might see in your previous working places?
The ability to make decisions, the ability to critical think, the ability to see beyond what's in front of them. So I
Hmm.
feel like you were saying earlier, with social media, like everything is like perfect and and whatever. Like this is what the ideal person is, but
Hmm.
backstory is that person really that person?
Hmm.
And so to me, for my kids and kind of what I've learned, I've worked ER, I did dialysis, I've done NICU, I've done all that stuff. And so the common theme that I see with a lot of these places is it's like poor decisions.
Hmm.
Um, and just being aware of your decisions.
Hmm.
Because it does play a big part in it. And so I
Hmm.
accountability, my kids
Right.
are terrible liars. I know the instant that they're lying because
Right.
the way they just do silly things. So I'm like, that does like no, like don't lie. If you screwed up, own up to it and learn from it and make it better.
Right.
Or, your situation, I have an eighth grader. And so certain things happen and, learning to navigate friendships and, realize that things aren't the end of the world
Hmm.
or, how to, she's a cheerleader. So it's seventh grade. I was like, you're a leader as an eighth grader to help the seventh graders. Like,
Right.
don't they know how to do that. Well, okay, we'll teach them. That's what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
You're an older cheerleader. You're supposed to help them. And so just kind of teaching them that aspects, because I did see, like you said, like a lot of people that had nothing. I mean, there was nothing there, but then at the same
Mhm.
time, some of the ones that had absolutely nothing had the best family support.
Yes.
Like
Mhm.
they just unconditionally, sometimes negatively, like loved them and supported them and all of that, versus, I've had very chronic people in the hospital that I care for as well. And
Mhm.
it's like, yeah, they had all the money in the world, but they had no, say, morals, or,
Right.
they just weren't good people.
Right.
And it reflected on when it mattered, whether you're a good person or not. It doesn't matter how much you have in a bank account. Like, I don't
Right.
care. We have discussions like this all the time. Like, I don't care if you have 50 cents. I don't care if you even have a bank account, or if you have 5 million in the bank account. If you're a good person I'm going to treat you the same. And
Mhm.
so my kids try to always instill that into them. So even, when we travel and stuff, and I enjoy taking them to do things like that. So
Okay.
they can see, like, hey, not everybody has a house. Not everybody has 2 vehicles. Not everybody
Mhm.
eats 3 meals a day. Not everybody does all of this stuff. And
Mhm.
so, and just even situations in school, they're like, well, this kid's doing this. I was like, well, you know what? Parents, like, maybe they don't get any attention, or
Mhm.
maybe they don't have mom and dad to go home to, and maybe it's just, the ground. And so don't pass judgment without
Right.
realizing that. And so kind of that's what I want to leave and have teach them. It's just, don't be a crappy person. be, be a good person, and eventually the world will reward you. And I was
Mhm.
like, it's not always going to. Sometimes it sucks to be the better person, but at the end of the day, when it comes to it, you can look at the pearly gates and go, I know as a good person, and I deserve to be here. So
Nice. Nice. I appreciate you, sharing it, because that's just, again, this just feeds into understanding our values and, what we're looking forward to as we're teaching and coaching other entrepreneurs. Like, hey, don't lose track of that, because just because you're working 24/7, you don't have to lose focus on what matters most to you. Because once you start to lose that, you become
right.
something else. You start to lose morals and
Yes.
values and virtues and, all these other type of things. So, you know, um, for those of you that are listening out there, I don't want you to think like, hey, why are y'all talking about this family stuff so much? Is because we don't want to lose track of how important they are to our purpose and why we do this every day. And even talking about the legacy part, like, hey, we want to make sure that they understand, because our legacy doesn't have to be, a big old trust. It could be just how we influence our kids and then they influence their kids. That's part of our legacy as well. And so I just want y'all to be appreciative of what Renee is saying, because I think it's very powerful and I think it's what's needed today. So Renee, thank you very much for coming on the show and sharing.
Yes, you're welcome.
So Renee, because of what you said and what you've shared today, please let everyone know where they can find you, your information, talk to you, follow you on social media, whatever it might be.
So the best part, or the best way to find me, is probably my website. It's www.renee.gillette, like the
Yes.
razor.com. That has all my Instagram, Facebook handles, email, phone number, the whole shebang on there. Um, Instagram, I'm more predominantly in. So it's Renee Central X Realty. It's my handle, and shoot me a message. I'm happy to talk. I talk to people all the time about, like, hey, I saw you did this. What is your advice on this? In the same way, I always reach out to people too. I'm like, hey, how did you do that? Like, so I'm always up for conversation and learning new things. So reach out.
So I guess Renee, you're an extrovert, not an introvert.
in certain situations, I hate networking convention type things. You have to walk around like, hi, my name's Renee, and like just randomly
Right.
meet people. I don't know why that terrifies me so much, but I could
Mhm.
be in a bus and just like, hey, I like your shoes, and like start talking. I don't know. I'm weird. I don't know.
I mean, so thinking of that, transitioning into the question I ask everyone, my would you rather question, because all it does is allows us to understand how you process information. If you were in a particular place or whatever it is, again, as explained in the green room, use your imagination. All right.
Okay.
So would you rather choose 3 doors or a fork in the road?
3 doors
And is there a particular reason?
because I feel like it's more like Price is Right. Like it's more exciting. You know what's behind the door. As soon as the door opens, you know what's behind there. Fork
Right.
in the road, you gotta like going to find out what's there. Yes, 3 doors, definitely.
Nice.
So it's like either instantaneous, like yeah, or instantaneous. Ugh. No anxiety walking down the foot road. There we go.
Okay. Okay. Because I like to ask that question because people have said the doors are glass. They could see the road what's down the road. So again, that's just a fun way to end off the show, and I appreciate you answering the question for us.
Yeah, no problem.
And of course, everyone, Renee's information will be in the show notes. And if you're running, walking, climbing a mountain, whatever it might be, of course, you can always come back and click on the links and follow Renee. And so, Renee, again, I really thank you for coming on and reminding us that success is built on peace that lasts longer than success. So I thank you very much for reminding of us of that. And so every one of you that's listening, I have a few challenges. Please order your life and business this week and where you are saying yes when you should be protecting your no. And challenge number 2, write down what balance really means to you. Not social media's version, not your peers, but yours. So I thank you very much for tuning in. And of course, I will talk to you just a little bit later.
Thanks for listening. Follow Maurice Chisholm on social media to stay connected and check back weekly for new episodes. Until next time, that will never work. Or will it?